Well, David, I don't know if you noticed, but in between us, right here on the screen,
Huh?
there is a very nice lady,
Yeah.
and I'm pretty sure she's the answer to your problems.
Oh my God. Oh my God. It's Janie, and she's
Yeah.
gonna teach us how to be calm and do emotions. Oh
Yes.
my God. Cue the intro music.
This is gonna be an adventure on its own. All the people are gonna come, 'cause it's time for PeaCreaLive. Mystery and lovely.
Oh, welcome everybody to another episode of PeaCreaLive. You know, I was told by a close advisor that I should explain that PeaCreaLive means peaceful creativity live, and peaceful creativity is the name of my collaborator's coaching business, Arny, as we like to refer to him. He's over there on the far side of the screen from me. And we have an amazing show for you today. I'm super excited about our guest. We're going to help you do all kinds of things today with your nervous system and help you think about how your emotions work. This is such valuable information, and the kind of information that, that has really changed my life over the years. And we'll talk about that more. But Arny, why don't you introduce our guest?
Hello, everyone. Super happy to be here today with Janie Whittemore, who is a Reiki practitioner, a Havening practitioner, and a master healer, emotional healer. Janie, welcome to PeaCreaLive.
Thank you so much. It's lovely to be here. Thank you for having me on the show.
Yes, we're so happy to have you.
It's great to have you here.
And I just want to tell the viewers, sorry, Arno, I just want to tell the viewers that this is a live show. Maybe you're finding us on Facebook. Maybe you're finding us on YouTube. If you have some comments for us or Janie as we go through these topics, send us your comments. Chat us your comments on Facebook or YouTube, and we'll be able to get them on the show. We'll respond to them on the show. We want this to be a communication. We want this to be a conversation, and we want it to be fun. So let us know what can help you, what you're thinking about on these topics, and we'll see how it goes. All right, thanks. Oh no, sorry. Okay.
Exactly. And at some point during this show, Jenny here is going to conduct a live exercise to find calm in 6 minutes. Is that right, Jenny?
That's right. Or maybe even less.
Ooh.
Even less.
Finding calm in 6 minutes, yes.
Bold promises here on the show. So the same way as David just told it, after the exercise, let us know what you felt. Did it work for you? What was your experience? We are really interested to hear about it. Jenny, in one of the things that you do is called Havening. Mm-hmm. And if I'm being completely honest, I don't know what it is. So can you maybe explain it in case there are some other viewers who are not in the know as I am?
Yes, well, you're not the only one, Arno. You're not the only one. It's called havening, from the word haven, as in a safe haven. And havening techniques are a series of tools that come under the heading havening, developed by two doctors, actually brothers in the States, who have found a way to rewire the brain.
Wow.
She was shocked. His eyes just opened.
Yeah, the great thing is that it can be really quick. I think many people may have gone to seek help, and that's absolutely brilliant when people go to seek help. But what can sometimes happen, I think, is that you're just retelling the same story to yourself, and you're reconfirming your pain, your trauma, your stuckness, and you don't move forward. You can't move out of it if you just keep regurgitating the same story to yourself. You can't see the chink of light, which is the way out. So havening works in a completely different way. And I can explain that in more detail if you want me to. But essentially, it creates delta waves. And those delta waves are the ones that we experience when we are asleep or in meditation. And during delta waves, you become really susceptible to input information, but also you feel very calm, very relaxed. And at the same time, we're able to use a distraction technique where we employ the other part of the brain, the thinking brain, and we just do silly things. So it can actually be quite a hilarious session. On the one hand, I'm using this special havening touch. And on the other hand, I'm talking some nonsense, maybe making you sing a nursery rhyme or happy birthday. But inside the brain, there are amazing changes taking place that are permanent.
Wow, that sounds wonderful.
Yeah, I can attest to this.
My experience.
I've had just before. Sorry, or no, before you move on, I had a test. I had a havening session. I had 2 sessions actually, both with Janie, and that's how I know about her and my work and her work. Also because she's my aunt. And
What was that? Sorry, you talked fast. I couldn't hear. What did you say? Sorry, I couldn't hear properly.
Oh, it was a secret for anyone listening closely. Maybe we'll revisit it later in the show. So yeah, but I've had
something about I'm an aunt.
Yeah, just meaning you're industrious, but the. I had the havening sessions, and it takes like an hour. And she's right. You're using these different parts of your brain. You can kind of feel it, or at least I can kind of feel it. It's like you go between accessing like a difficult emotion and being kind of getting into this other perception state where you're just kind of in a playful mode, and you feel your brain like switching around between these different things, and it had the effect for me both times of creating this big release. I had a big emotional release during the session, and some big emotional wound I was holding just kind of emptied out, and in that for me that looked like, some crying, but I'm used to, I don't know if that's like that for everybody, but I do an emotional processing very regularly, and very often it's like a crying is the way those emotions get out. But, I was having trouble with the issue that I went to Janie to help me figure out, because some of our wounds are buried deep in our unconscious. We get like an inkling of what they might be, the source of them. But I was having trouble really accessing the cause of what I was feeling, and like a early memory or whatever it was. And the havening just, for whatever reason, the state you get into in the havening just lets you access that's like source material of your wound, and it like empties out. But both times I found it an incredibly freeing experience. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the great thing there, David, that you talk about accessing the memory or the wound, but the wonderful thing with havening as well is that we don't actually need all the content. So if people are dealing with something that is very personal, very difficult, they don't, they're frightened to go there, which is often understandable. They don't necessarily have to tell the story at all. They just need to allow themselves to be in a position where they can recall the feelings that they would like to change. So that's what makes it so very different to a talking therapy.
Yeah. I don't remember telling you any specific memory details or anything. We just found we just found the kind of like the sense of it. As you say, the feeling. So yeah, really nice. Really. Do you have another Arno? You have a follow-up question on this topic? I'd love to, for the viewers, make the kind of the exercise we're going to do together early in the video so that people can find it pretty easily, and let Janie walk us through that. But if you have anything else you want to jump in on, a question about havening, let's hear it before we go.
Yes. So my experience with the delta waves was through Yoga Nidra, this form of meditation that puts you in a state very close to sleep. Mm-hmm. But in my experience with Yoga Nidra, there was not this additional adding this distraction as you were talking about. So I'm very curious about these parts. Why do you say silly things? What's the point of that? What's the use?
So if we know about the amygdala as we do, where we store our emotion, where if we are in a traumatic or distressing situation, we take a snapshot with our brain, and pretty much everything in that picture is encoded in the brain in that moment. So say, for example, you're in a horrible car accident or something, God forbid, but imagine that your brain takes a snapshot of everything. So somebody comes to help you, and maybe they're wearing a red dress, and then 20 years later you feel something triggers you, and somebody comes towards you in a red dress, and you freak out, and you don't know why. And those are the kind of things that we're encoding in the amygdala. But in the prefrontal cortex, in the front part of the brain, this is where we're doing the thinking, the creative thinking, and the productivity stuff of life. And so if we are occupying that part of the brain during this session by asking somebody to talk about how they cook a recipe or to recite a poem, then they are freeing up the activity in the amygdala for this emotion or this snapshot to be actually delinked and dissolved.
Wow.
So it sounds and looks maybe humorous, maybe silly, and actually you can, in fact, have fun with it and make it feel like that, and it still works. And sometimes, of course, it isn't funny or silly at all. You're dealing with very serious things. And I do have to say up front that if you yourself have experienced a serious trauma, I would suggest that you don't, when we do this exercise, that you don't use that as your example, because I'm not there right next to you to take care of you afterwards. So I would suggest that when we talk about this little exercise we're going to do, you just use something mild, such as the sense of anxiety that we might all be feeling right now, a generalized feeling of worry. That would be the perfect thing.
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
And I think
you're talking about for this 6-minute exercise we're going to do.
Is the bridge that you. Another perfect thing is the bridge that you just did, because now we are completely ready to go into the exercise, and you've already done the disclaimer for the viewers, so we can jump right into it, right, David?
Yeah, totally. I just want to say also that in the Havening session that I was a part of, when there was laughter, that was actually it aided, I felt like, the emotional release process. Yeah,
I think, very cathartic.
Yeah,
it's also a release.
Yeah. So, and just before we jump off that, I mean, there's been a lot of actual scientific research into Havening as well, right? It's one of these alternative healing protocols that they've been, doing a good job with the research, right? And they've been treating people with PTSD. They've been treating people with phobias, other things. What, do you have anything you can share on that front of like what they've studied specifically on it?
Well, there have been a few studies, but because it's a new therapy, it's very early days to have definitive data. And I'm not going to go into that data, but what I would do is suggest that people look at the headquarters website, which is havening.org. And there is a portal there for you to access all the research papers that have been done and all the studies and the information that's currently there. I think that probably is the best thing for me to do, to direct people to havening.org, and then they can see for themselves, because it's early days, so I wouldn't want to misquote or say anything incorrectly. They have shown through countless testimonials, through countless group works, through working with vets, war veterans, through working with refugees, stateless people, groups, all kinds of people have been helped. There are films made, there have been workshops given at our annual Havening conference. Every year there is more and more incredible information coming out, but we need to be able to collate it more tightly and present it more succinctly than I can do right now.
No, that's okay. I think it's good that we're setting people, to go research for themselves, because I remember before my Havening sessions, I looked it up as well to see what I could find, and I was impressed with what they were doing, So, So why don't you give us a little preview of this exercise we're going to do, this 6 minutes deal, and how to use it, how we can best make use of it, and let's jump into it, and so people can get the benefit.
Okay, cool, great. Well, the first thing I would suggest is that you just bring to the forefront of your mind how you are feeling right now. And if you have a little pocket of anxiety or worry, as many of us do at the moment, understandably, with the COVID-19, Just see where that is. See where that's sitting with you in your body. Is it in a place in your body? Can you identify if you perhaps close your eyes and maybe just check in with your body? Just take a breath, a slower breath than you might usually take. And maybe do a big exhale. And just drop your attention downward so you're not in your head. And just do a mini scan of your body. Where do I feel this worry? Where is it? Is it here? Is it here? Throat, chest, belly? Where is it? And then when you've identified where it is, it might be in one place, it might be in more than one place, I want you to give it a number out of 10. Because this is how we're going to check whether you have success or not with this tiny little exercise. So if 10 is feeling absolutely terrible, the worst you felt ever, and 1 is feeling calm and all is well, where are you right now? Just make a mental note. Are you in the middle? Are you really low, really high? Just acknowledge to yourself, okay, maybe I'm feeling like a 7. Pretty worried, actually. Yeah. Where am I feeling it? If I am in a state of anxiety myself, I often feel it in the throat, like a tightening in the throat. Sometimes in the solar plexus, just under your rib cage. That's where we often hold on to fear. So allow yourself, just for a moment while you're safely doing this with me, to feel any fear that you might be feeling. Bring it to the surface of your body, as it were. When you've got your number, I want you to then take your hands, place them crossed over your body on your shoulders. You can look at me and then close your eyes when you want to. And you're going to stroke down the outsides of your arms from shoulder to elbow, just calmingly and gently stroking. I hope you can see down the outsides of your arms. And if you close your eyes, I'm going to explain why you're doing this. When we do this, they have found out that these areas on the body produce up to 90 times more of the feel-good hormones, the serotonin and the dopamine, the oxytocin. It creates activity, neurochemicals going to the brain, and delta waves too, making you feel calm. And there are other places. So with the first place on the outside of the arms, and it doesn't matter what order you do this in, but another place is the face. So if you want to look, you can open your eyes, but you're just stroking across the face, under the eyes, and across the forehead, and down the sides of the cheeks. So under the eyes, across the forehead, and down the side of the face, just calmly, gently stroking. And the other place is the hands. This one can be done wherever you are. In public, you might feel odd stroking your face or your arms, but often people are doing this just before they give a talk, and maybe that's why. So continuing now, stroking whichever one of those areas you prefer, or mixing it up when your arms get tired. I want you to say to yourself, I am calm. I am calm. And say it out loud so that your whole being hears it. I am calm. I am calm. All is well. I am calm. I am in charge of myself. My body knows just what to do. I am calm and all is well. My body is a high-functioning, high-vibration organism. It knows just what to do. Sometimes my body may react. That is because it is functioning as it should. But in this moment, right here, right now, I am safe. I am safe. I am calm, and all is well. I am in charge of me. I can take care of me. I am calm. I am safe. I am grounded. I am connected to the earth. And I am connected to the divine. And all is well. And then you're going to, in a moment, open your eyes. And I want you to just move your eyes from right to left without moving your head. You can relax your hands and arms, open your eyes, and just look to the left, and look to the right, and look to the left, and look to the right, and then up, and then down, then up, and then down. Then take 3 deep breaths just to relax yourself. Really inhale and really exhale, allowing all the air to come out. Last one. In and release. Beautiful. And then just shake your hands and come back into your body and your full awareness, which you can do really easily. You're not hypnotized. You're not in a trance. It's okay. And I want you to now check in with yourself again. Go back to where you started in your mind and think, okay, who am I now? Is there a number? Can I equate it to a number? If you can. See, is it the same? Has it changed? May I ask you, David, to do that for us, to illustrate if there's been any change in this number for you?
Yeah. I started out with like a 6.5 feeling in my solar plexus area, some generalized anxiety there, and and right now it's like a 2.5. It drops quite a bit, and I can feel like I'm sort of naturally smiling. You know, my hands feel like a little bit tingly. I had some laughter release during the touching.
Yeah.
You know, and I remember.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah. Sorry. Is that enough? Sorry. Okay.
Yeah, that's it. I want to ask Arno because, you know, I know you've had Havening before, but he never has. So it's quite a good contrast to see how he's found it. What did you begin with?
I began with 5.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't super anxious at the beginning. I've meditated earlier today, and I had a pretty good day actually.
Yeah.
So I wasn't too much stressed. I really, really liked the part with the arms, like this one, like this. The outside, it was very efficient on me. I could really feel a feeling of warmth and calmness. And, you know, I'm always trying to find ways to give love to myself and my inner child. And I could really feel like I was doing it with this movement.
Mm-hmm.
And after the whole process, I went from a 5 to a 2.5. Yeah.
Okay. So I mean, I'm talking in the middle, and in 6 minutes you wouldn't count this talking. So we can do a little bit more if you want, or we can leave it there and let people just know that that's the experience so far. What would you think?
No, I think let's leave it there. I mean, that was beautiful. You know,
Sure.
people can go back, listen to that again. You know, and of course, if they want more, they want a full session. They want to see the full power of this. They can, of course, like go, you know, follow up with you after this. I mean, I'd love to talk more about just, you know, I mean, I'm sure people have questions about how this works and why it works. And if you do, definitely just send us a chat, you know, and let us know what specific questions you have. But I really liked, you know, one thing I got to say is a little bit of some resistance did come up for me during the session, because, you know, one of the things I'm huge on is not like bypassing our emotions. You know what I mean? Like, one of the things I'm huge on is not like, you know, there's this whole concept of kind of spiritual bypassing, it's called, basically, right? Where you basically say like all is you know, you basically, you know, somewhere in you that, sorry, what was that?
Were you talking about the all is well?
No, that part. Well, somewhere in you, is it like knows that you're okay. Like, you know, somewhere spiritually, you know, you're okay. And so what sometimes happens with people on a spiritual path is they're feeling like some pretty difficult, uncomfortable, crappy emotions. But, you know, they've encountered this thought somewhere from a spiritual teacher that, you know, but everything somehow is okay. And so they'll just try to jump to that, you know, to that place without ever, you know, looking at, acknowledging, feeling, or dealing, you know, with their emotions. So when you said in the Havening, when you said that, you know, I am calm, you know, at first, my first reaction to that inside was like, no, I don't feel calm. You know, I'm at like 6.5 on this thing. You know, I don't feel it. And then, you know, and then as I stroked and as I touched my face, you know, by the way, I remember during some sessions, I really like the hands one during, like, I think the last session we had some time ago. I really liked the hands one, but this time the hands one didn't really do anything for me. It was really interesting. It was like the face and the sides of the arms that helped for me this time. So that's just interesting too. That, like, you know, whatever is going on, our nervous system might need something different in that moment. But anyway, as I'm sinking into this feeling and the exercise, you know, what arose inside of me authentically was this part of me that did feel calm and that did feel safe, you know, and it was like, oh, but that part was there too. So when I had the resistance and it was like, I was saying, no, but I'm not calm. That wasn't really the big I of me, if that makes sense. That was that one emotion speaking. That was that one part of me speaking. But then when I made room, I think you described it as like undoing the links inside the brain, you know, when I made room inside myself for these other parts to rise up, this other part of me came and was like, no, I am calm. There's a part of me right now that, even though there's some anxiety here, is authentically calm and feels authentically safe, and does feel like authentically that, no, I'm okay right now, you know. And so that, like, so it's just so I don't think at all we bypassed anything. I think what we did was we brought in to where the trauma is. We brought in a calmer plate. We allowed in the technique our calm self and our trauma self to meet. And in that meeting, it helped dissolve some of the trauma self. I mean, that's my interpretation for right now, what happened. What do you think about that?
I just lost the last tiny bit of what you said, but generally, I love that explanation. I think that is a spiritual explanation of what's happening. But we can remember also that we're talking about producing neurochemicals that are actually affecting the brain. And those chemicals have the effects that you're talking about. They really can make you feel that you are calm. They are undoing the distress and the fear and the fight or flight or freeze feelings, which are very real when you're in them, which is why I said, recognize, tell your body, yes, thank you, you're doing a good job. You know, you're doing a good job. You're perceiving a threat. But you know what? Right now, right here, there is no threat. Right now, I'm fine and I'm okay. And it's a bit like accessing your conscious awareness as opposed to your primitive brain. You know, it is like a conversation between the two. I really like that interpretation. I mean, the scientists may not quite sew the whole tapestry together in that way, but why not? You know, it works, doesn't it?
Well, that was my internal experience, you know. So, yeah, Arno, what about you? You have anything to add on that?
I just like those two faces of the same coin, you know, like the spiritual side and the scientific side. And
yeah.
I liked what you said also, David, about people in the spiritual circles not accepting to be not okay, and that there is actually a physiological explanation behind that, because that's something I struggle with myself sometimes. I'm like, consciousness is supposed to be this pure, neutral state where everything appears. So why am I feeling bad or why am I feeling tense? It's supposed to be just an energical sensation. And I think it's important and interesting to tie it back to some reactions in the brain, right? I'm feeling like this because some chemicals were produced in my brain. Those chemicals were produced maybe because of something that happened 30 years ago that I cannot even put words on because I don't remember it, maybe it's just stayed as energy. Maybe it was a red dress, as you were saying, or something else. And I don't really have something to add to this. I just think it's very interesting to see those two phases next to each other, those two faces of the same coin next to each other.
And I think if I may say, there are probably as many havening practitioners as there are approaches with havening, but because I come from that healing spiritual background, I find when I'm doing it that it's a very creative process. And I know some people are, I won't say scripted, but perhaps they come from the hypnotherapy background or a medical background. Perhaps they are approaching it in more the scientific way. I'm approaching it from where I come from, which is the intuitive way. I do not know what is going to come out of my mouth half the time. I mean, you've seen a very little snapshot, but sometimes we go on adventures and stories, and I know what the person needs to hear and what they used to hear and what will resonate for them. So it's there are more than two faces, is what I guess I'm trying to say. Yeah, and it's what works for you, and it can be tailored and tweaked to that degree.
I think these kind of things are like the future, of personal healing, because they bring in the spiritual side, they bring in the very physical, scientific side. They let people use their intuition going through these. And I really liked that you said, I've also had several periods of my life when I've done talk therapy, when I've done like sort of traditional psychological counseling, and I just have not had the movement, in dealing with those issues that I've had when I work on like a technique that uses my whole body, and is using my nervous system, like, breath work or something like havening, or like the emotional surrender technique that, Arno and I both like. So,
yes.
There's, I think, there's really something really important being discovered here about our own internal ability to self-heal and to, on demand, create the internal, environments that allow for healing.
Yeah, I have the same experience as you, David, like the years of, I was going to say years of therapy. Yeah, it was 2 years, so it's plural. So years of therapy didn't do what minutes of certain exercises of emotional integration did for me and for my life and for my relationship to the world and to the people around me. So I completely agree that, therapy, classical therapy can definitively have some benefits for some people.
Yeah,
but
sure.
it's not the answer to everything. It's just part of the answer. It should be completed with something else.
And how good to have something that you can take and do yourself at home.
Yeah.
Yes.
And apply. I mean, if you are dealing with something very serious, it is nice to have the space held by somebody who is there and you can trust. Sometimes people have a fear, understandably, of really allowing it to come out because they're not sure what's going to happen and they can't catch themselves. So to have somebody there to be with you and witness it and take you through, guiding you through the process is great when you're working with big stuff. But if you're doing this every day on a maintenance kind of level, and my own havening trainer told me every morning when she's moisturizing her face, she'd be saying, today is going to be a fantastic day. Everything's great. I've got everything I need to be the person I want to be. And, you can just tailor it to what you need for that day. If you've got something big coming up, you can put good stuff in as well. We're not just talking about taking away the negative. It's also performance related.
That's interesting. You're reminding me of like affirmations, which is something
Yes.
that I first encountered long ago with Louise Hay's wonderful work. You know, Louise Hay, she wrote a seminal book, You Can Heal Your Life. And it was, you know, it was in one of my early entries into this, you know, healing your own emotional wounds stuff. And she is big on affirmations, using affirmations to kind of rewire your thinking, to be more supportive to yourself and help you, you know. But what I found is that, like, you know, they never really worked for me, I felt like, you know, and sometimes she would advise, like, well, you got to say this, you know, affirmation every single day, like hundreds of times. And I think if you did that, you would kind of like rewire yourself to think differently. But I could never, you know, make myself do that kind of like affirmation work. But it sounds like what you're saying is that when we combine affirmations with, you know, if we combine our highest ideas, like, I have everything I need to be the kind of person I want to be today, which I fully believe is true. But maybe some parts of my brain don't think that, you know, some parts of my brain are doubting my capability. Some parts of my brain are like feeling like, no, I don't have what I need. I need more projects. I need more clients or whatever,
well,
you know?
Isn't that fear? Isn't that
Yes.
the fear?
Yes.
And so that's the other part of the brain kicking in, stopping you.
The back
so
one. Yeah.
When we're creating these delta waves, that's what I'm saying, you can put the good information in and you won't come across the resistance, and you will feel it because you will be feeling good and safe.
Yeah.
So with affirmations, I totally agree with you. Like, Louise Hay has been the grandmother of so much of what we're talking about now. But we've moved on. We now know that affirmations don't work unless you can create the feeling. And when we're talking about the law of attraction, it's a very similar thing. You know, you can say, I want to have a big house, want to have a big, you know, whatever it is. But in order to resonate with what it is that you want, you have to have it from within. So this is a good place to start with all of that, really feeling your way into those feelings and creating the feelings by relaxing yourself into this calm, happy state.
Yeah, it makes me want to experiment with affirmations while I'm doing these havening techniques. Yeah. Sorry, Arno.
I have something to say about affirmations, because actually, if I just use an affirmation on myself like that, without believing it, without any sort of preparation, the failure rate is high. So I have two things that worked very well on me. One is from Tony Robbins, actually. As I forgot how he calls it, 15 minutes of power or whatever. But basically, it's during walking, and you repeat this affirmation based on the rhythm of your walk, or you can even run. But it's not to put the whole body in motion. And it's like every day, and I'm used to say it in French, so I forgot how it is. But basically, I'm more and more grateful, or I'm more and more healthy, or I'm more and more, you know. And he has like there is a reason. So that once you're done repeating the affirmation, it's still stuck in your head as a song. But doing it while running or while walking, I used to do that every morning when I was walking my dog, and it was really working on a physiological level. I could feel this happiness, this presence, this confidence, whatever I was putting in the affirmation. And the second one, which was given to me by actually a podcaster, an American podcaster named Aaron, who is known for something completely different, but is actually pretty insightful when it comes to that. It was simply to tell it to the mirror and tell it with a lot of love and a lot of care, the kind of many men don't receive automatically. You know, because it's not in modern society. It's not so often that someone will come to a man and tell you, "Hey, you're doing good. I believe in you. You know, keep going." It's so you can do it if you're a man watching that. It works for women as well. But if you're a man and not enough people tell you that you're going to make it, or that you are worth it, or that you deserve love, you can tell it to yourself by in front of the mirror. And the eye contact with yourself will probably, or most probably, provoke also this physiological reaction.
Absolutely. And that reminds me of Louise Hay again, because so many years ago, she did mirror work. And Dr. Robert Holden is a great exponent of her work now. He's carried it all on, and he has whole programs about the Happiness Project, and part of it is the mirror work, and particularly if you're British, This is a good one. I mean, David will be fine on this one. If you're British, to look in the mirror and say, I love you. I mean, most English people just would recoil in horror at the thought of uttering such a thing to anyone, let alone yourself. How self-obsessed could you be? But, how often do we actually speak like that to ourselves? Not enough.
It really makes me sad, because like going in these people's heads all the time is I'm not good enough. I'm a piece of crap. I don't look good enough. I don't feel good enough. I'm not good enough at this. I'm not, you know what I mean? And so they're willing to listen to those thoughts, but it's so few people do the work of like, well, what if I want my brain to say other things to me? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And what would it be like if I lived a life where my brain was constantly giving me good ideas instead of telling me I'm a piece of crap? That's available.
We all know as well that thoughts are things, thoughts are matter. Everything is energy, including thoughts. And so if you're having a thought, it's a negative thought, starts way out there somewhere. Over time, you keep repeating it to yourself, you keep repeating it, it will work its way in, it will be in your energy field, and eventually it will manifest as some kind of physical imbalance. So think good thoughts. It's so important.
Yeah. But I think a lot of people, that advice, I'll be honest, used to frustrate me for a long time until I realized.
It's annoying. I know I'm annoying.
Well,
right?
no. It's because
annoying auntie.
Because I would be like, but my thoughts, they just keep happening in my head. It's like I don't have any control of them. And then until I realized I literally, they are like reflexes. My brain is sending out thoughts like my knee kicks when a doctor hits it. You know what I mean? My heart's like reflexive internal function is to beat blood around my body. My brain's reflexive internal function is just to shoot thoughts based on whatever is going on in my subconscious and my energy, right? So once I realized that, and it was like, oh, it's not a matter of controlling my thoughts. It's a matter of controlling the source, or just helping adjusting the source of the thoughts. And I realized, when I started to read about how many of our thoughts have their source in the unconscious, in the subconscious, it's like 99% of what we're thinking comes in the subconscious. So that gave me the key to be like, okay, now I know how to actually help my thoughts change. I need to work on the subconscious level. And that's when I got into like the deep emotional work. And one thing I like about what just happened with the havening exercise is that we were able to basically access the amygdala by bringing up the emotions, bringing up the anxiety, and feeling it in the body. We're accessing the amygdala, but then we're helping the amygdala change by creating different chemicals, by adding the other different thoughts into the mix, So it's like we're literally very quickly through touch and sensations working with the unconscious. And what I've found, I'm sure your clients see this, Arno and I have talked about this before, but what I found is that when you work on the deep underneath level, your surface thinking starts to change automatically. If you're just trying to control the surface thinking, it's like you're just playing with like little pieces on the top of a table. But when you go underneath, you move the whole table. The pieces aren't even, you're not even relevant anymore. So I think that, that's one real thing I really like about this is it goes, we're going underneath. You didn't ask me like describe exactly what I'm afraid of. You didn't say like what, what's the fear, what's the anxiety. You didn't ask me about the surface thought at all. It's just we're going into the nervous system. We're going into where the source is, and then when we change that, so much of the surface layer changes automatically. I think that's what I wish more people could have that experience, because once you do, you realize, holy crap, so much of my thinking is just coming from these internal traumas that I might not even be aware of. Like, I don't have to believe my thinking. It gives you such freedom when you get to that place.
It is freedom. Yeah. It is freedom. Yeah. And there's always more to do. That's the beauty. There's always more.
Yeah, the beauty.
Yeah. Sorry, Arno, you were going to say something.
No problem. I wanted actually to react to something which is connected to that, and that you said, Janie, that this is also cultural. You were talking about British people, and never really thought about that before, but it's true that you have some cultures like the Latinos one, the American to some part, who are really used to say to each other, "I love you," and we're grateful, 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 and we the French, there's a lot of skepticism and a lot of shame around being happy and working on yourself and growing. And with the British, that's also known, like this black humor, and I've never thought about it like that it was actually some sort of like a curse to at the country level, cultural level. But actually, that's now that I think about it, that's super obvious, because then you have some other countries like in Asia who have another religious background, another way to look at life, and they don't have to deal with the same kind of obstacle to their own happiness. Obviously, they have many obstacles as well, but they don't have this cultural shame around being happy and taking care of themselves emotionally.
I think, of course, we mustn't generalize too much, because, of course, within every culture, there are those who are one end of that extreme and the other end. But I think that, yeah, it's generally true. We all know about the British stiff upper lip and not discussing your feelings and getting on with it. Don't make a fuss. Just deal with it, move on. And how, making it very relevant to the now. How wonderful is it now that even people who I'm sure 3 years ago, if I'd started talking in this way, they would have just not even have had time to listen. Now people are having time. We have been given the gift of time to go within and reflect.
Yes.
And these are the conversations that people who have never been talking like this before are having. They're talking about kindness. They're talking about heart math. They're talking about coherence. They're meditating together in huge groups. People that have never done this stuff before. I'm absolutely thrilled at the energy that all of that is creating, and to change these cultural dogmas, or whatever you want to call them. Anything that's been unhelpful can just be released with these kind of things.
Agreed.
Whew.
I
Sorry,
want to. I know that a lot of people are suffering, losing their job in many industries, and they are obvious, and people are dying. So that's so that there are a lot of negative consequences to this COVID thing. But yes, as you said, it's also a time of reflection and of growth and of inventory of what's in our life. And that's why I'm really happy that David and I are doing this show, because we are playing our small part, bringing people like you, Jenny, to share this message, and to share not just the message, but also some techniques that people can use in their life to make the most out of this situation.
And David's analogy which is funny but actually quite lovely, of the table with the tablecloth. And I don't know, you can just imagine moving around the tablecloth till the pattern is perfectly square on the table and it all looks perfect. But what is the table underneath like? Is the foundation strong? And I really think that's a great, if simplistic sounding analogy, that makes a lot of sense. We have to just go underneath now. We do see what it is that's holding it all up, because we might find it's not what we thought it was.
Love it.
Right. Yeah.
Mm.
And the challenge. 0. Yeah. Mm. Mm.
Yes. I don't have the Facebook. Oh man. Oh come on. It means
Can't
that you're
hear you.
muted again. Did you mute yourself
I
accidentally
was
again?
muted that whole time. So I muted
No.
myself accidentally again. So technical problems on our show. My bad. I probably didn't say anything important, other than if you're one of those people who are experiencing the job. Thank you for that comment, by the way. There's like we ask
Oh
for
man.
comments all show, and then I go muted, and that's when we get a comment. Come on, guys.
Oh
Come on,
man.
guys. Give us a question. Anyway, all I said was, if you're in a place of fear about your job, about your relationship, about what's going to happen next, that place is the worst place to come up with new ideas, because all your resources for coming up with new ideas are shut down when you're in fear-based
Mhm.
survival mode. And a technique like we just did that gets you back into calm and back into your center also puts you in the best position to see your best solutions. So I think in a time like this, something like that is super, super useful. Well, being on mute the first time
Yeah.
allowed me to say it 5 times more concisely the second time. So that was a gift.
True.
Well, congratulations. And this is actually one of the concepts behind peaceful creativity as well. Find your inner peace, and then you will have ideas. So, and Jenny's technique is a wonderfully efficient way to do it fast. I mean, less than 6 minutes, and you've already done some sort of reset of your brain, and now you can have some ideas. You can look at your job research in a new way. You can look at your business building in a new way, and are much more efficient and productive than if you were just like hitting your head against the wall and trying to find that idea, even though you're not feeling good, even though you're feeling stressed. So yes, as David said, whether it was muted or not, make that pause, do the exercise, and then create the life that you want.
Yeah. So Janie, I mean, approaching the end here,
Sure.
you've been doing this work for a long time. You've been in this field for over 20 years. And,
Yeah.
what do you think, what are your biggest sort of lessons, maybe surprising ones or maybe just important ones for people to hear, but what are your biggest things you've learned about, these emotions and these traumas and in all this work you've been doing for such a long time with so many people?
I'd say accepting what is, because the more resistance we have to looking at what is there, the more resistance we have to trying to move it, the longer we stay where we don't want to be. And loving ourselves and accepting what is, the feelings that we have, however spiritual we think we are, there is always work to do. We are all a work in progress. It's a conversation. It's an ongoing conversation. And so I just say acceptance of where you are at any point, even if it's in the depths of the depths of the depths, it's okay to be there.
It's okay
You
to
can move
not be
on.
okay.
Yeah, because this too shall pass. Such a cliche, but so true. All things pass. So just knowing that, allowing yourself to express what is going on when appropriate, in an appropriate way, with a certified practitioner if you can. Just accepting what is there and just being grateful to yourself for giving yourself the gift of seeing it, accepting it, and then being able to move forward, whoever you are and whatever you're dealing with. I think that is sometimes the hardest but the most effective way to move on, move forward, and move through. Yeah. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah. You're saying
It does.
accepting what is. We often hear that from someone like Eckhart Tolle, trying to get people into the present moment. And you're saying, well, that includes everything you're feeling. That includes also how bad you're feeling. That's what it means. And when you do that, it's that's the first step into actually being able to heal. Because if you refuse it, you don't you don't accept it. You try to resist it, avoid it, escape from it. It's just going to persist there. That sounds like what you're saying.
Exactly that.
You reminded me of Tolle.
Janie, we are almost at the end.
Go ahead.
No, I mean, I was gonna say that we are almost at the end, so that is where people can find more about Janie. But you seem to have a last question, David. So.
Wow, this is why I mute myself, or no, so I didn't interrupt you. It reminded me of Tolle when we were doing the havening, because one of the things he says is that if you get really, really present, you realize that fear doesn't exist in the present moment. Because if you get really, really present, you realize, no, right now I'm just sitting here. I'm fine. And the fear is all in my mind of what might happen, but it isn't actually happening to me. And when you're in an actual dangerous situation, like someone is pointing a gun at your face or something, you don't feel, well, okay, that's never happened to me. But like dangerous situations that I've been in, or people saying about it, you don't feel fear in that moment. It's like in that actual moment, like your whole body goes into like this like slow motion, like I'm in intense survival situation, and people just do things that they don't really even remember. So I guess like the point is that if you get present enough, even in those situations, you don't actually feel the fear. Like almost all fear is a projection of something of the future
projection of the future event.
Yeah. So when we were doing the havening, one thing I really liked about it is like it's putting me really in the present moment, because I have to feel my hands, I have to feel my face, I'm feeling my arms. And as I get deeper and deeper into the present moment, you can feel like it becomes truer and truer that, no, I am safe right now. Right now, I'm safe. My mind might be screaming about all these things that could happen, but right now, I'm safe. My mind is probably wrong. Muji, he has this great quote in one of his meditations. No one has experienced the future they imagine. No one. And it's just like, I have all these thoughts about what is possibly going to happen in my future, but it's not real. It's not right now. Right now, I'm safe. And I really like that havening just took me into that present moment place. Okay.
Great. So Janie, where can people find more about you? Your website is displayed on the screen, but are you on social media, or is there something else that you want to share with our viewers?
Oh, thanks. Yeah. My website is on the screen, thehealingcompany.com.
Yes.
I'm on Facebook. Most of my activity is on Facebook. I have a few groups. I run a group called the Lightworkers of UK and Ireland. I run a group called the Reiki Healing Hub. I have my own Facebook page, The Healing Company, and that's where most of my activity is. But I'm also on LinkedIn, Twitter. You can find me. It's not hard. I'm everywhere. Sorry. The Healing Company. Yeah, Janie Whittemore.
Great.
Thank you.
Oh man, I feel like we could go for a lot longer.
Yeah.
Yes, actually, now I would like to start the interview with you, Janie, and ask you another 1,000 questions. So maybe you can come back and we can dip more into, because you have also, we just talked about happening today, but you also do Reiki, and so.
I would love that, because you know what, I've realized throughout this time that we're all in now that I really am on my purpose. And I used to worry a little bit sometimes with what family might think, what certain friends might think about what I say. Will they think I'm crazy? Yeah, probably. Do I care? Not anymore. Because it's just what I'm here for. That is what I'm here for. So I'm here to serve people, to help people. And there is nothing I like more than just watching when that spark comes back into their eye, and somebody has reconnected with their essential self. That's all it is for me. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to spread the word about that.
That's beautiful.
Thank you
I definitely want you back on the show too. Yeah, at family gatherings, Janie and I are like, if either one of us is missing, either one of us is the most woo-woo person in the room, you know? And then but if both of us are there, we can, we're like, okay, I got you. I see you. You know, I see you. It's you know, so I'm so grateful to have that Janie is in my family because you know, she's been a huge inspiration to me my whole life. You know, she's part of the reason I'm doing this work and I'm on this path. So, you know, if anybody out there, you know, you have these people around you that are trying to think differently, trying to access a different part of themselves, that are looking into what is the essential self and can we do it? Can we find it? You know, those go talk to those people. You know, I mean, if they're, you know, they're very often the black sheep of the family. They're very often the misunderstood ones. But, you know, I mean, in my personal experience doing this for many years, it's led me to so much freedom and healing. And Janie, I just want to say a personal thank you to you so much. I mean, you know, the story that didn't come out was that, you know, one of the periods of depression in my life, you know, when I was in my 20s, you know, it was basically, you know, Janie was pointed me to a book that completely, you know, changed my perspective and moved me into a whole new way of thinking and exploring. I mean, it kicked off like my spiritual journey on a whole nother level. So, you know, I mean, that was lucky because I didn't ask Janie for help. You know, I mean, she found out that I wasn't doing so well and she offered help. So, you know, ask, but hopefully the others out there will be more courageous than I was, and you'll ask for some help for some people, for someone like Janie to give you something. By the way, maybe I'll just end on a little funny note because I discovered today one of these weird like things buried in my amygdala of like innocuous circumstantial details that lead to that are like associated with emotional trauma. Because I'm sitting in my meditation, and I don't know if she's watching right now or not, but my girlfriend is like in the same room, and while I'm meditating, she's like drinking her like warm morning, you know, beverage, and like every time she swallows, it rings so loudly in my head, like I'm trying to do my meditation, and she's like. Like that's what I don't know if that came through, but that's what it sounds like, and of course I know in my mind like this can't be like why is this annoying me? And I had a flash of being like a tiny child, and I think, you know, I don't know, this flash didn't used to come, but they're more and more common now. The more and more work I do in this area, you know, working with the underneath stuff, I had a flash of being a tiny child and like someone near me doing that during like and I was having a really unpleasant experience in my body, and someone was like, I could hear someone like eating at the same time, and now I'm like, I just hear like swallowing sounds. I like totally pulls me out of my meditation. I'm realizing that's what you were talking about. You know, this red dress example that you use. Mm-hmm. That's what you were talking about. And so it's so, you know, how many of these happen to people in their life where they're just like, you know, someone at work, they can't, you know, someone at work in a business meeting is pissing them off and they have no idea it's because like the cologne they wore that had a smell that, you know, reminds them of some crappy experience they had when you were 3. You know, I mean, it's just, that whole thing is just fascinating. I know the show is technically over, but it's okay. You know, Katka, you feel free to continue to drink and swallow near me. I know this is my trigger. It has nothing to do with you.
Okay. I really need to go, so okay. I'm gonna have to you know, press the end of the show. Yeah. Jenny, thank you so much. We are definitely having you back on the show if you want to come back. We would be honored and happy to have you.
I've enjoyed it very much. Thank you. It's funny.
And for everyone who watched, thank you. Everyone who's watching this after the live and who's wondering, how could I miss that? There is a link under the video where you can put your email address so that you don't miss the next episode of PeaCreaLive. And thank you for all of those who watched, who commented, who did the exercise but didn't comment. That's fine too. Thank you for doing it for yourself. And we hope it was of value. And now I give the final word to David.
Oh, thanks, Arno. Well, thank you, Janie.
Sure.
Such a pleasure. Yeah, seriously, I don't know. Are you sure you want to do that? But anyway, Thank you very much. The link Arno is talking about that you'll get updates for when we go live. So you can join the show. And also there's some other bonuses there, like a ebook that Arno put together called The 3-Step Method to Getting Calm in Your Mind right now, and other bonus resources for you. That's coming up on our epic outro screen with original music by Arno himself. So thank you once again, Janie. I hope everybody goes to thehealingcompany.com and finds you on Facebook to get more of this absolutely amazing, valuable work you're doing for all of us, especially at a time like this. And it just blesses my heart. I just feel, to hear you say that you feel like, you're really on purpose right now. You're really feeling like what you have to offer is what's so needed right now. And I love seeing that, happen for people and hearing like they are just in the groove with their own self. So thank you so much for sharing everything you have. Yeah.
You're so welcome.
All right, everybody. Cue the outro.